Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. Today is going to be an abbreviated show, but I hope you enjoy it nonetheless. My special guest today is Minister Spencer Rice from the Word Baptist Church. I want to call it campus, but it's no longer a campus.
That's right.
All right, so before we get into those details, can you give us a little intro about yourself and what role you play at the church?
Yeah, I can do that. So, as was said, my name is Spencer. I'm the missions director at Word Baptist, and I also direct the International Student Ministry. I've been there since about October of last year. I was actually at Word when it started, about 6 years ago, when it was the campus of Central. And I took a job about 3 years ago. I took a job in Japan. I was there doing missions for a couple of years, working with a Christian company. Okay. When I came back, I wanted to still be involved in missions, and Word was a place for that. So it was a good fit. I've already been there. And I'm happy to be back.
That's awesome. And I'm sure that the individuals that you interact with on a daily basis truly enjoy what you have to bring to the ministry.
Well, I hope that I have a nice, well-rounded perspective because of my experience.
Alrighty. And so, where do you see yourself, in the future? Do you want to continue the realm that you're in? Or do you want to expand to a different role at some point, or move to, maybe, I hate to say another location, but just expand your ministry? Do you see yourself moving at some point?
That's a great question, and I have a couple of answers.
Okay.
The short answer is that hopefully I'll end up wherever God wants me.
Okay.
I would be happy if I ended up in Jonesboro. I'd be happy if I went back to Japan.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that at this point. I think I know for the near future where I'll be. I plan to be in Jonesboro for a little while. I have a little bit of school I plan to do before I do anything. Hopefully get a master's. And then it'll probably be crunch time.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, I'm sure that still the people that you work with now they really probably want you to stay here.
I'm sure I will stay connected even if I'm somewhere else.
Alrighty, and so we're going to get into, tell us a little more though about, Word Baptist Church. I've been trying to get someone on here for a while to, discuss your ministry and tell about the wonderful things you're doing within the community. Many people may know, or they may not, that you all are a derivative of Central Baptist Church. And so tell us how that process went and where you are now.
Yeah, so the location where we're at, ministries had been taking place there a while ago, but then those kind of, for one reason or another, came to an end, and the spot, there was really nothing happening, and I think the folks at Central sensed the need for some kind of ministry and a consistent ministry. I think in this is a part of town where ministries come and go, there's a lot of turnover. Even in people living there's a lot of turnover. Yes. And we wanted to have a consistent presence.
Okay.
And our pastor, his name is Jamar. He grew up on the north side of Jonesboro, so being involved in Central, they felt it was a good fit for him as well. And he felt called as well to do that from the Lord. And I could really tell from him. I guess this was in around 2013, something around then, is when all this happened.
Okay.
He had gone to Texas and was in school for a few years. He came back, and I remember we had a relationship before because he was my Sunday school teacher, as I told you. So when he came back from Texas, he was a man on a mission.
Okay.
And this ministry, things were starting to take place. So Central launched as a campus. We were called Word Campus, Central Baptist Word Campus, and that's how we started out there. It didn't look all that different from the way it does now, but I guess it was in 2017 we became independent. Now it's just Word Baptist Church.
All right, and I can remember when my son was in high school. He's a little older now. He's in his 20s. But he used to come over to you all's site and play basketball. That was one thing he loved. He would go to the Bible study you offered, and you all offer snacks, and then you allow them some recreation time as well. And so he was really big into basketball at the time. So he was getting the word. He got fed physically, and he was having some fun. And so he then drew his friends over, and I noticed that the crowd grew over the years, and the number of kids that attended, and then they start bringing their families, not just to the Wednesday night or middle of the week services. They start coming on Sundays, and so now you are just really blossoming in that community. And I think if you created a sense of belonging and welcome spirit within that community, and the people really trust the ministry that you have to offer them.
Well, I hope we have created that sense of community belonging, and I think the consistency is a key factor in that we consistently are present in the community, and even as you mentioned, the basketball. So when I started at Word when it launched. That was what I did. I was the youth minister there.
Okay.
So I was probably there playing basketball. I'm not good at basketball, but whatever it takes to get the kids involved, and that was a tool that we have, and it was a great way to bring people from the community. And it's a great way to be in the community as well, especially with the kids. I would say when I was in high school, and I've always had a passion for reaching people that age, and really that's the future.
Yes, sir. All right, and so let's get into one of the events that you all are hosting that, again, helps to draw the community out, and you allow them to have a little fun. You may share the word with them. You offer activities and food. It is called Resurrection Celebration.
That's right.
Right in time for Easter coming up. And so the event states you will have bouncy houses and music and food and
Yes.
all kinds of activities. So tell us how this event came to be and what you hope to give to the people.
So the way it came to be, I think most churches you'll see will offer something around Easter time, whether it's an Easter egg hunt. We didn't want to do an Easter egg hunt. We wanted to do something a little more intentional.
Okay.
But over the last few years, what we've done is we've had something called a Walk with Jesus.
Oh.
And we have this part of our building where you go through room by room, and each room a group has taken, and they share a part of the story leading up to Christ's crucifixion and then the resurrection. So you go in the first room and you see maybe Barabbas and he's being arrested, and the next room you see the Last Supper and you see some men, and they have bread and they have juice and they're pretending like they're at the Last Supper. So you go from room to room and you'll see different pieces of the story. We wanted to do something a little bit different this year.
Okay.
We wanted to have something that engaged the community. Usually I think we've done this on Wednesday nights.
Okay.
And we want to do it on a Saturday because we want to do this on a day when everyone was free and able to come. And we've had a lot of people coming to the events, and so we felt it needed to be able to be done on a bigger scale.
Okay.
So we wanted to have the attractional side with, like you mentioned, bounce houses, food. I think you always have to have food when you do something like this.
Of course.
Music, we're going to have games, giveaways, a lot of candy too for the kids. But we are still going to have a drama. It'll be a little bit different from room to room. It's one of the pieces I'm definitely looking forward to. I think it'll be a very memorable thing, especially for kids. I don't know how often people in our community get out to see a play.
Okay.
So it's going to be, instead of going room to room and you see some people, we have a rehearsed drama.
Okay.
Where we have soundtrack and we have voiceovers, and you can come in and witness a few things we're going to show. Like I mentioned, Barabbas being arrested, the Last Supper, the crucifixion, the scene in the garden, and then ultimately Christ's resurrection.
Wow.
So I think it's going to be a really great time.
That's awesome. And on the flyer it says interactive Easter drama. So I hope that everyone comes out. This is taking place this Saturday.
That's correct.
April 13th, and from 12 to 2 p.m.
Yes.
And so tell everybody where the Word Baptist Church is located.
That's right. So our probably the easiest way is just with our address. It's 416 Callion.
Okay.
So that's in between Callion and Belt, pretty close to the Sonic on Johnson.
Okay.
If you're not sure which one, ask them if they have ice cream. If they tell you their machine's broken, that's how you know you're at the right Sonic.
Oh my goodness. Are they trying to keep up with the other restaurant? We won't say their name because they're not a sponsor of ours, so we're not going to give them free press today. But anyway, if you know where Walker Court is as well,
yes, very
it's
close.
right over there in that area. So please go out this Saturday, April 13th. Get the whole family together, especially the babies, and take them out to go interact with other individuals in the neighborhood. This is a great opportunity to get to know your neighbors in your community, get to know who you live beside, work with every day, get to know who your kids are playing with, because I'm sure those kids know each other. It's time for the adults to come out and get to know each other as well.
I agree, and this is a free event as well. It's not often somebody plans something free for your family that you can all come and be a part of, and we're offering that. So
Yes. Who doesn't like free? So we thank you, everyone at the Word Baptist Church, for putting on this event. Tell us about how much time and planning, and I'm sure there's a lot of excitement also that goes into the whole ordeal.
Yeah, so we have been definitely put some time in planning this, from the food to the bounce houses to the drama, especially the drama. A lot of work is going into the front side of this because we want to provide something that you think every weekend with your family, or sometimes you want to have something nice to go to. Well, we wanted to give our community something that a day that we've planned where we have, and it's a standard of excellence as well. Okay. We want to have a great time for you to come. And we want it to be something you can bring your family to as well. Okay. It's not something just for kids or just for adults, but it's for everyone. Like you said, you come and you meet your neighbors, yes. The people who's the kids that your kids are playing with, their parents. You can meet people that maybe you live close to but you haven't met. So we tried to put a lot of work into this on the front end so that we'll have an excellent event that really serves the community.
That's awesome. Again, Saturday, April 13th from 12 to 2, going out to Word Baptist Church. It's on Callion Street.
Yes.
And go out and enjoy the fellowship and the events they have planned. Now, aside from this event, what are some other things you all may have coming up, leading up to the summer that people can start putting on their calendars?
Yeah, so, if you have kids, you're definitely interested in, we do VBS, and we have a summer camp for the kids. Those will be, I believe, in June. Our VBS is in June. I'm not exactly sure about the dates, but I believe it's in the middle or the second half of the month. You can go to our website and find all of our events that we have planned. It's just wordbaptist.com.
Wordbaptist.com.
Yeah, but as I mentioned, if you have kids, you definitely want, this is something they'll love. Okay. Every year we do this as a theme. Whether the last few years we've done, I can't remember them all. We've done one in the jungle. We've done one where we were spies. I'm thinking back several years for those ones, but those are great for the kids. They really love that. We have a lot of fun, but we also teach them. They memorize a verse over the week. They have lessons from the Bible, so it's a great time for them. Sooner than that, we have obviously Easter Sunday as well. So this event is kind of promoting that. We have the Easter drama. And then, we want our community to know that this is something this is a big, for a Christian, this is the biggest holiday of the year, really. Christmas is big, but Easter is,
it's
a pretty big deal.
Yes. All right, and so since we do have some time, tell us more about, the services throughout the weekend. Just give us a rundown of what you offer at the Word Baptist Church throughout the week.
Yeah, so we do, I would say our main things that we do are Sundays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
So we would love to have, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on a Sunday. We have services at 9 and 11.
Oh, wow.
So you want to sleep in a little bit, get up at 10, 10:30, come see us at 11. Some folks show up at 11:30. I would encourage you not to do that.
You'll miss the bulk of the service. You'll miss the whole thing.
Well, you'll show up. You'll definitely miss the music. So that's what we do on a Sunday.
Okay.
And we have, on Wednesday nights, we have a meal from 5 to 6.
Oh.
And that's also free, so.
Come on, people. Come on out and enjoy a meal, fellowship. And so after the meal, then you have Bible study?
Yeah, we have a Bible study. We have different, depending on the age group. So if you have kids, we have something for them. We have something for the teenage group, and then we have an adult study as well.
I really love that you offer those different those different groups, because different people, and kids learn differently than adults, and then the younger ones definitely learn different than the middle, those teenagers. So I'm happy that you all have those variations in classes so that everyone can get something they need, and then when they go home, hopefully they're having a discussion about what they learned in class. Yeah,
you're definitely right. It would be difficult to have kids and adults trying to teach them the same thing at the same time, but as well as them getting the most from what we're talking about, they're able to build those relationships. I'm sure parents, every once in a while, it's nice to have a little bit of time where your kids are with other kids and you're with other adults, and you can, once again, you can have that sense of community. You can have a normal conversation with a human being.
As a parent, I can attest to that. I love having my adult time and being able to discuss things on a level that we can understand it, versus having to break it down, and for the kids and not being able to fully get the whole message. Do you get to go into different classes, like kind of, float around and see what's being discussed. And
So you're asking me personally?
Yes.
Well, I've had the benefit of having been a part of all three of those.
Okay.
Usually if someone is gone or something happens, I end up as a stopgap.
Okay.
So usually I'm with the kids. Before I was the missions director at Word several years ago, I did the youth. So I did that for quite a while. So sometimes I'm still with the youth. It's hard for me to get away.
Okay.
And honestly, it feels weird to me not being with the youth on a Wednesday night. But that's my spot now.
Now, what have you noticed from the time that you've been there and the kids that have been coming? Have you noticed a lot of growth and a lot of the kids are grasping what you're teaching them, and they're coming back the next week or whenever time you see them and say, "Oh, I remember this and I learned this," and they're more excited about the Word.
I think it's really incredible, actually. As I mentioned, I've been at Word since about the end of October, beginning of November. Before that, I was gone for 2 years, was overseas, and I was at Word before that time, so there was a little gap in the middle. But just from having been involved since the end of last year, November, December, it's incredible to see what has happened with the children. So I'm involved also on Sunday mornings with the kids. So I mentioned services at 9 and 11. We have childcare during that time as well, and we don't just babysit the kids.
Okay.
We try to make the most of that time.
Okay.
So we teach them stories from the Bible. It's incredible to see, kids that are actually learning these stories. When parents they ask them about what we've talked about, and they come back next week and you ask them, "Do you remember what we talked about last week?"
Okay.
And they not only do they remember the facts, that's great, but they remember the lessons, they remember themes that they've learned, things that they can hopefully remember for the rest of their life, lessons about God and things that are going to benefit them for the rest of their life.
And do they talk about how, I know for some of the younger ones, like elementary, they may not totally grasp the concept of applying what they're learning in church to their school life, but maybe with some of the teenagers, have they talked about how they've been able to apply what they've learned and how it maybe has changed them and helped them make better decisions or interact with their friends differently?
Yeah, you can absolutely see that. Our youth group, you've got a scale of kids from ones who come and don't pay attention to ones who are sold out.
Okay.
And you can definitely see, and it's even, you mentioned, with different age groups, you definitely see a different level of understanding. But one of the great things about God is, sometimes things are difficult, but some things are very simple.
Okay.
So when you're talking with kids, you talk about who God is, who He is, that He's good, that He loves us.
Okay.
Everyone can grasp these things, So with kids, there's a different level of understanding, but these are still very important things that we teach them, that even when you get older, just the knowledge that God loves you. You may be in a place where you feel like there's nobody that really loves you or cares about you. Maybe you feel like people just want you for what you can produce or your value, but just that knowledge that God loves you, you learned it as a kid.
Okay.
But that's a very powerful truth that even as an adult, you need that.
Okay. All right. Well, we're about to wrap up, 2.5 minutes. So, again, we want to remind you all, Resurrection Celebration.
That's right.
Coming up this Saturday from 12 to 2 p.m. at the Word Baptist Church on, what's the address again?
So the address is 416 Callion Street.
Okay. And it's, again, if you're not really sure where it is, if you go down Johnson or Belt Street, you can run into it. Is it Callion?
So Callion, it almost runs between those two. If you're on Johnson, you would want to turn on Howard, and that'll bring you to the church. Howard twists and turns, and at some point it changes to Callion.
Okay.
So if you take Howard, or if you're coming from Belt, if you come from Belt, you'll see the church.
Okay. All right. Again, it's in that over by Walker's Court apartment. There's some other apartments over there as well.
Yeah, they've changed name a few times, so I think now one of them is called Ridge Crossing. It used to be called the Villas, I believe.
Okay. So, again, if you know what the general area is, like you said, past the Sonic on Johnson that doesn't have the ice cream machine working. But anyway.
Maybe they'll get it worked out.
Okay, especially with the summer months coming, we need our ice cream.
Yeah.
All right, so I can't thank you enough for joining us. Any shout-outs you'd like to give to some of the individuals you work with at the church or just people you know?
Yeah, well, I want to say thanks to our pastor's name is Jamar. And Kaylee as well. They're a big part of the things we do, especially I've talked a lot about kids today, and a lot of the things we do, we try to do family, things that everyone can be a part of, because though not everywhere you go you can bring your kids.
Yes.
But we want to we want people to know that not only are your kids welcome, but we love having them around. They're a blessing.
Okay.
And Kaylee's a big part of that, and so definitely want to say thanks, Jamar. I mean, everything we plan, he's our pastor, so obviously it's a big part of that.
That's awesome, and thank you all for the work that you do in the community, the service that you provide to those families, not just the ones that live right in that area. I'm sure you have members that come from all over Jonesboro, maybe some other areas outside of Jonesboro. So thank you for the ministry that you provide to those individuals. I want to thank you all for tuning in and supporting KLEK as well. We could not do what we do without you. That's what we're here for, to provide the gap, to provide a platform, to bridge the gap and provide a platform to provide you with information. So, okay, we still have 2.5 more minutes left. So, any other things you would like to highlight with the church?
Well, I guess if you're curious about us, if you want to know more about us, our website is a great place to start.
Okay.
I mentioned that. But probably the greatest way is just to come and you can meet us.
Okay.
Every Sunday after the service, we have a meet the pastor.
Oh, okay.
So we have a gift for you as well if it's your first time. So I definitely encourage, if you're listening, if you're curious about us, just come. I think, and after the service you can meet Jamar. We have a gift for you just to say thanks for coming.
That's awesome.
And whatever you want to know, you got a captive audience.
All right, and again, like we've talked off air, I know several people that have attended your church and they love the atmosphere. They said that it's so welcoming and you make them feel like family. You make them feel like they belong, and so that's wonderful when someone can have that experience, especially when someone is searching for something. Most people go to church because they need something. Spiritually, they need something, and so when they can find it at your church, that's a great testament.
We definitely want, as you said, a welcoming atmosphere, and it's a pretty diverse church as well, and we don't want anyone to feel like they don't belong.
Okay.
And so, if you're listening, you're welcome.
All right. Well, we thank you so very much for that. And so thank you, Minister Rice, for joining us. And thank you, Miss Kaylee, if you're out there listening somewhere, for helping to set this up. And thank you, everyone at Word Baptist Church. And Central Baptist, want to give them a shout out for having the foresight to start this campus and to support it to now where you all can stand on your own.
Yeah, we wouldn't be where we are without the work that they did and the blessing that they've been. Everything that we have, everything we do, we have because of the vision that they had several years ago. So, and ultimately, I know that if they were here, if someone was here, they would say that really the praise goes to God.
Amen. All right, on that note, we're going to leave it right there. And again, today is an abbreviated show, so after the announcements, I hope you enjoy the mixes, and we'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday. Thank you. And don't forget, Wednesday is All Gospel Wednesday, so tune in tomorrow. But I'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Have a great and blessed day, everybody.